All right, so in Malaysia, I'm fascinated with the franchises. There's a lot more here than in the UK. Sorry about the motorbike. Uh, so here we are in Enstech, and you'll see just every other store is a franchise. So you get the Tea Live, the Zeus Coffee, you get Lao Lao, you get 7-Elevens, you get the KK stores, you get Subway. They're all on the franchise model. And my fascination has led me down to looking at the Subway franchise model specifically. And yeah, here you go. Here's the Subway. That's the Subway right there. And then you've got obviously the Pizza Express, you've got Domino's. I wouldn't be surprised if the car window tint place was also a franchise. Family Mart's a franchise. Literally, I'm wondering if just all these places are a franchise model. So this is the layout, and it obviously works here. I think there's also a government incentive for franchises. I'll check on that. But so I looked at what it takes to have a Subway franchise, and that's the details we're going to go through right now. Yeah, there's the 7-Eleven. Yeah, they're all here. So franchise is a big business, and I think the population is used to seeing the franchise model. So rather than set up your own sandwich shop, you just open up a Subway. Rather than open up a corner store, you open up a 7-Eleven. Rather than open up your own coffee store, you open up a Zeus Coffee or a Tea Live. So it piqued my interest, and so that's what I'm going to analyse now on the screen. In the UK, the franchise model is far less prevalent. So I noticed it after moving here. And it piqued my interest because I can't resist looking at an opportunity. And so, for example, we immediately looked at property opportunities here with land parcels for sale, and there's a new commercial kind of development right next to us. So you can't fail but be interested. Anyway, I'm a big fan of Subway, and we regular orders to it, and I just was intrigued about the franchise model, and if there was an opportunity to say back someone in setting up a couple of new Subway franchises near us. Not for any reason. Well, the main reason is I find that stuff kind of fun, kind of interesting, something to do, and Subway. In the UK, it's the baked bread. It's the fresh baked bread. It's their secret thing. If they didn't have that freshly baked bread in those ovens, you would never buy from there. Or would you? I don't know. I don't think you would. Like a sandwich shop, you're not going to do it. But because they bake that bread on site, and it's normally pretty delicious, it's such a simple concept. So anyway, I also looked at, I did a bit of research into franchises, and like Tea Live, for example, is another one. It's grown massively. I think it's Malaysia specific, and it's like that bubble tea, that boba tea that they sell. And contacted Tea Live actually, and they said for now they've stopped opening new, they're not doing any more franchises. They're going to do them in-house for the foreseeable. So anyway, I then looked back at Subway, and I just thought I would back of the envelope model the business. And I thought, well, because I've done that, I might as well share it with you. Maybe you're interested in a Subway franchise, because I for sure am. And it's weird because I was chatting with our neighbour, and she was pondering opportunities around here. And together we also looked at the land for building houses. And then I just sort of mentioned, do you have any interest in the franchise model, specifically Subway? Anyway, let's have a little look through the numbers and wonder what you think. So I've never run a franchise, but that's never stopped me from doing anything. When you're born, no one's run a franchise. So all you can do is learn as you go. That's how I do everything. Anyway, so here's Subway. You can go onto their franchise.com Malaysia site, and it's a nice site. They've got some trying to, I guess, encourage people to take on franchises. So yeah, it's been in Malaysia since '99, 350 restaurants, over 30 million combination of subs to choose from. Okay, I guess they've done all the ingredients times themselves to get that. I always like their like paper packets that the subs come in. They've got good branding. I like it. Anyway, so here's your choices. You've got the food court kiosk model. That's you can do that for 500,000 ringgit. The next model is the shopping mall. That's sort of your traditional location. That's 660,000 ringgit. I'll show you where they get these numbers from in a sec. And then your big kind of store one for 900,000 ringgit. So I think if I was going to be an entrant, I would obviously start with the food court kiosk, if I could. So where do they get 523,000? So it's a 30-meter to foot. This is what I've done to kind of model this, and if it's an interesting investment. So your capital upfront, you got your franchise fee, your property leasehold. Yeah, I guess you have to make it over. So they're kind of the subway makeover costs are 129. The equipment you need, I guess that's like the baking oven and the fridges and stuff. Security system, outside signs, 10 of them, opening inventory, insurance, training and expenses, legal and accounting, opening advertising, miscellaneous, business license, utility deposits, small equipment and surplus capital, and then some additional funds. I guess that's like a contingency. And then you can apply. So you contact us and our development team and reach out to you in a few days. The team will guide you through the business planning and research, restaurant renovation, hire and train employees, store opening. So that's today, 1-2 months. So within 3 months, let's call it 4, you could be up and running. Yeah, so total journey, 7 months. Yeah, negotiate the lease with the landlord, open the store, and you're up and running. And then here's a nice map of if you wanted to see, like near you, the gaps. So if I go into Nilai, where I am, okay, there's this central section. There isn't one. So right next to me, I can already think of the place I'd first look. At lunchtime, there's hundreds of people getting their lunch in just literally the village next to me. I think it's next to a university. And I would, of course, look there first because university students, they generally aren't carrying their lunch. And maybe some days they'd want a Subway. Obviously, you're competing with your local eateries, your local dishes. But sometimes maybe people want a break, and the price point of Subway, I think, is doable for most. And if you're like me, and every now and again you like a sandwich, and it's clearly had success here. So all you need to do, I think, is the key thing is finding your location and having enough footfall to hit the metrics. So what are those metrics? I think that's it for this site. So it sounds fairly straightforward how to get this set up. And if you've ever been into a Subway, it's a very simple, one thing I like is just the simplicity. You go in, you pick your bread, you pick your filling, you pick your salad, you pick your sauce, and you're done. So it's completely, you can have it exactly as you want it. So for example, I don't have it with butter. I don't have it with meat. I often get like the egg mayo and salad sandwich. And then they've got a whole load of sauces. So you can have it exactly as you want it. And then I can never resist one of their cookies. And then they have a selection of drinks. So it's really simple. And often get it delivered by Grab, so it's easily grabbable. I guess it's not like a hot dish or like I often think like sushi doesn't travel well, but a sub, yeah, that can travel no problem. It's nice. It's nicest, fresh right there and then, but it can travel. I even sometimes order one, put it in the fridge, knowing I'll have it tomorrow. Like I went on a hike last Saturday, so I ordered a Subway on Friday evening to take with me Saturday. So anyway, I'm a big fan. That's the crux of the story. So let's have a look at some metrics. I just did some back of the envelope. Now, some of these numbers I've got from Grok, some I've got from the internet. I've had to kind of clutch at straws, but it should give a broad idea. So this is how I would look into this kind of thing. I always think, like with any business, it's all about your individual execution. How good are you at executing? Because I think you can set up a store. And then someone next to you can set up exactly the same store. They may fail and you may succeed. It'll be purely down to your execution of the business. And it is possible for you both to try and, for example, sell the same thing, but if one doesn't execute effectively, they would fail. So I never like to say, oh, just because they didn't do it, it will fail. I mean, there are so many industries where others have failed, but someone has succeeded. And that's always my belief, that if I do it, I'll succeed. So average order size, I've gone with 15 ringgit. This is really light, I feel. My order size is always 30, but Google and Grok suggested that the average order size is 15 ringgit. So that's like one sub with no extras. Orders per day, I've gone with 50. Again, this was like a basic metric coming out of the internet. So your revenue is just those two times by each other, so that's 750. So monthly, you're looking around 22,000. Food costs, it had a very stable number. It said around 30% of your revenue will be on your food costs. So that's a cost. Your rent for the unit, they suggested 2,000 ringgit for the month. Your staff, it suggested 2 staff is enough for like a kiosk. So that's 3,000 ringgit. Royalties. Now, it's a slightly more expensive royalty to the Subway franchise of 8%. T-Live was, I think, 3.5%. But let's push on. 4.5% you have to spend on advertising. So that's that amount. Utilities, pretty straightforward, 1,000. So those are your costs per month of 15,000, 188,000 per year. Your revenue for the year, based on these numbers, is 270,000. Your profit per month is 7,000, and so your profit on the year is 84,000 ringgit. Now, I've then put in the kiosk, like your sunk cost to get set up of 525,000, and so it's looking at takes around 6 years to pay that off from the profit you make, the 84,000. So those metrics, why I think I'm about right with those numbers, is that is exactly the kind of payoff term around 6 years that I see all investments come out at. So, and then all you can do, your two most important points, assuming all these costs are give or take about right, is you want to have the biggest order size and the biggest number of orders per day. And I don't know if you can really impact the order size, perhaps your cookie placement. So I know an exact thing here. If I was running one of these Subway franchises, the cookie cupboard right next to the till, I've been in a couple of stores where a couple of the trays were empty. So like the double choc chip cookie tray was empty. So it put me off getting the other cookies for some reason. Whereas I went into another Subway and all 4 trays had a beautifully aligned cookie set. And I was like, oh, I'm definitely buying these here. It was a weird subconscious message that one put me off buying cookies, the other one made me buy cookies. And then I have also experienced, because I like these cookies, I once got quite a stale cookie. So if I was running one of these, I would definitely make sure those cookies are as goddamn good as they can be and fresh, and even have that smell going around your Subway store. Maybe cook them in batches throughout the day, I don't know. Also in the Subway franchise, when you go in, sometimes the kind of tubs that hold all the ingredients, I went into one and the onions were beautifully cut and like aligned in the tray, and like the cheese roll was beautifully aligned. And yet I've been into other stores where there's sometimes just a few scraps in the bottom, sometimes just not well presented. So I think it'd be important to have staff pride in their array, because the nicer it looked, the more compelled I was to maybe order not just one sub, but maybe 2, maybe to come back there. You know, that presentation I thought was really important. And the crisps and stuff, the add-ons, they must have some kind of contract with the company, because you get these great big air-filled bags of crisps and there's like 3 crisps in it. Obviously you're constrained by your Subway agreements, but I guess you just have to make do. I would definitely, the key to me is keeping those trays neat and tidy and clean. and nicely presented along with your cookie cupboard. I know this is like, I'm into the minutiae detail already, but this I think is the key. Also, when you walk in the store, there's a kiosk near us. So there's two near us. One of them, it's immaculate. And then the other one, it's slightly less immaculate, and you don't get a smiley face when you walked in. So it's small things like that I feel make the difference. Even there was a time when Starbucks sort of knew your name. So maybe if I was a store operator, if anyone comes in a second time, how are you today? You're like, can I put your name on the sandwich? And then remember that name for the next time. So get a relationship with that person that comes in the store. I think that's really important. Because then, you don't just go out for a sandwich, you go out for a smile and a how are you, like, whatever your name is. Anyway, so I feel like if you hit anything above 50, or if you hit anything above, if you manage to get 100 because you get the students in, you've made 250,000 ringgit and you're paid off in 2 years. That's obviously a big jump, but if you can double your order size, so I'm normally around 30, just for me. So again, you get, actually that doesn't make that much difference, does it? Oh no, it does. Yes, it does. It makes a big difference. So yeah, those two numbers are your keys to making the most of this. And I'm really compelled. And if I didn't have a full-time gig, or if someone wants to do this with me, I'd be really interested. Because obviously, once you've got one franchise up and running, like I'd not be able to resist trying to open up a second. And then once I got a second, I'd try a third and a fourth and a fifth. Because that's the whole idea behind franchises, that you don't just have one, you have multiple. So anyway, my numbers I think are about spot on, but just because of that payoff year, in that you're making something, it's the model works. And yeah, I'm really interested. So let me know if you agree with my back of the envelope maths. Maybe you run a Subway franchise. It would then, I guess the next step would be, one thing I would do, I would sit outside my local Subways and I would count the orders for a day. Maybe I'd sit there for the week and count all the orders that went through, just to get an idea if they're above or below that 50 number. And then, depending on where they were, try to identify if they had the best spot or not. And I'm thinking of this place near me. You'd have to get like the corner shop, so that you're the first place people walk past to make this work, to make sure your numbers are as good as possible. You don't want to be stuck out the back where it's an effort to get to. I think that where you're situated is really key. Anyway, I find this really fascinating, and this franchise model, really like it. If I was younger and had more energy, I'd probably look at creating my own Subway. So like, another sandwich shop of a similar vein, but obviously, and then you sell the franchise model out. But that's a lot of work, and as I said, I've got a full-time gig. But maybe where you start is, say you're in your 20s, you get someone to back you with running one of these franchises. You then run a second and a third. You learn from Subway, and then you try and leverage that to make your own franchise, and then you sell your franchises out. That's how all these places begin. You've got to start somewhere. So learning from from people that do it all over the world is a great place to start. That's where my mind goes with this. I think that's kind of everything. We've had a look at the streets where I'm talking about all these franchises. This is the rough maths. Super interesting to me. I don't know I guess the barrier to entry for most, why not everyone does this, is simply that's your barrier. Have you got 500,000 ringgit? Because I don't feel like it's a risk, because I feel like I could definitely achieve those store numbers. So for me, it's just about finding that capital to get going. I'd love to talk to people about this. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you agree, disagree, what I'm not seeing. That's it.